Hello everybody, I am Liz and I'm going to do another book review Monday and we are going to talk about the Grisha Trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I do have to say this is going to be mostly a gush video because I absolutely love and adore this series. I do have to say that when I was looking at some of the Goodreads reviews after finishing the story, I realized this book, especially the last one, Rune and Rising, got so much hate. People were particularly pissed off with the ending and they said some really nasty things, and I don't really approve of that. You can disagree. You can say, oh, I didn't like the ending because of da 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 da, but being nasty about it is so pointless and it really shouldn't be done. We're book reviewers. We need to have a type of finesse. We need to be a little bit more analytical about it, not just saying rude things. And that leads me into my little note to the haters saying, you know, this is not your story. This is Alina's story. This is Leigh Bardugo's baby, her masterpiece, her writing, and it's her story. She can write it however she wants to. I mean, she didn't have to write these amazing likable characters or unlikable characters where we see the gray areas of morality and how life itself is full of ambiguity and trials and challenges and making mistakes and figuring out how to fix your mistakes and also seek forgiveness and find family when you had none to begin with and find love and handle all these changes and consequences and everything. Like, this book is about so many amazing things, and just because you don't like the ending doesn't mean you get to trash the book series, because it really isn't fundamentally about you. It is about Leigh Bardugo and Alina's story. This is what she wanted to put on the page, and if you really read and appreciate the story, you can see why it ended that way, and that everything in every page it leads up to is going to bring you to that conclusion. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to dislike an ending. I just feel like you need to be better and more eloquent, because I really didn't like the ending either. I definitely was searching for a different ending, but I also realize that that's okay that I have that opinion, but I can still appreciate that journey to get there and everything that happened and just this world that Leigh Bardugo built. And so that's just all I gotta say, is it's not your story, it is her story, and it's not about you. Now, I'm gonna try to be as spoiler-free as possible in this first little bit, but I do want to bring up some spoilery stuff which I will leave at the end of the video. I've already brought up so many things that this book is about, and so many things that I loved about this book really tackles those types of themes, especially because this book really brought me back to just like the fundamental part of me growing up and being a teenager, and how I had to find the light in the darkness, and how like broken the story is and how real it can be, and just how not every story has to have a happy ending, especially because one of the big themes you will read about in the story is that saints do not have a happy ending. So many of the saints of this story have come across a really bad ending, and people, even if they're not really saints, just people in general have a really hard life, especially when they are thrown all of these challenges. I will say that I really loved the Grisha language and just all of the different like city names and people's names and the words that are used throughout the book, but I didn't know how to pronounce a single one of them, and that really proved complicated when I got into the Six of Crows book. And so I actually went online and found a video of Leigh Bardugo actually saying words and cities and phrases and names from the Grisha Trilogy and also from the Six of Crows book, which was amazing. It helped me out so much when it came to pronouncing things in my head. Another thing that I felt was really cool with this trilogy, and it doesn't actually happen until the third book, Rune and Rising, the LGBT acceptance and also coming across LGBT themes. I felt like Leigh Bardugo went about this topic in the exact way I want authors to talk about it, because as much as I want this inclusion in writing, I want it done well. And when it comes to like coming out stories and like high school stories, I understand where people give this big fuss over, your LGBT status, especially in like contemporary novels where it's more like society as it is written. However, what I love about fantasy and creating your own worlds and your own countries is that you can really mess with how society accepts LGBT people and people of other backgrounds. And so in the third book, two characters of the same sex get together, and there wasn't any like fanfare, there wasn't anything crazy about like, oh, you guys are, you know, gay. It wasn't anything like that. It was there, it was happening, and the only comment about that is that one of the characters mentioned that she was jealous because everybody kept pairing up and she had nobody. So that was really it. I want that on our society, even though we're not there yet. So it was really nice to actually read about that. Now I think that is really all I can say about this series, non-spoilery, because I feel like I've hit everything that I really had written down. It was just a really good book. I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend you pick it up if you have yet, even though I know it's been out for so long that most of you guys have already read it. Even though it wasn't my preferred ending, I can still really appreciate it. And I can appreciate Leigh Bardugo as a writer, and I'm really excited to finish Six of Crows and get into the Crooked Kingdom and see what else she puts out there, because she has a really interesting writing style. So now we're gonna get into some more of those spoily bits of the story. So because we know that there is really three main love interests in this story, I have to say that I am still shipping all over on the Darkling, like, which really, you know, makes me want to cry, because everything that happens to him at the end and how he couldn't be redeemed, and I just wanted his redemption so bad that that was my preferred ending on the story, even though I know how ridiculous that is. And so that's another reason why I was okay with how it ended, because I know that the ending I preferred was never gonna happen. And so I really felt like Leigh Bardugo could have written any ending she possibly could have, whether Alina had actually died or Mal stayed dead or anything like that, and I still would have loved it. I actually would have preferred Mal to be dead, honestly, which is awful of me, I know. I feel like he is whiny. He doesn't like understand her because of her powers, and oh, maybe they shouldn't be together because obviously he can't handle it, particularly just because of his attitude and how he acted in Siege and Storm. I just could not handle him. He drove me nuts. I was really appreciative with how they both end up losing their abilities and finding an orphanage, but I really want to know if they actually manage to have kids themselves, and if they have kids, are those kids gonna have powers and Grisha abilities? And that reading the story really made me fall in love with Nikolai, and I just really wanted to know more about his ending and just what happens with him in the story. I know he becomes regent. He is taking down all of the previous issues with Ravka, tearing down those barriers between Grisha and non-Grisha people, but I still want to know more about his life, whether Nikolai gets married and who he marries, you know, is he happy? I know they probably won't get answered. If they are answered, please like let me know down below the link so I can read all those juicy gossips. And I would really love to hear any of your thoughts and your feelings on the Grisha trilogy. Please let me know down below and we can have this good talk and discussion. Just make sure that if you're going to have any spoilers in your comments to say so at the top so that people can skip past them if they have yet to have read the series. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!